Have you ever faced a villain in a game and they just felt like they were designed to just make you paranoid?
Oh, absolutely.
Like your presence alone is already like messing with your head even before the fight begins?
Yeah, 100%. And I actually had a D&D session last week that brought back some pretty intense memories.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we were up against a black dragon.
Okay.
One of those iconic swamp-dwelling behemoths from the Forgotten Realms.
Wow. Okay, so color me intrigued because I know black dragons have a reputation for being a lot more than just like physically imposing.
Right.
So what happened in your game that was so unsettling?
Well, even before we actually saw the dragon, we were dealing with its influence, like whispers in the shadows and unsettling illusions and these strange occurrences that we just couldn't explain.
Wow.
It felt like the environment itself was working against us.
Oh, wow.
And by the time we actually encountered the dragon, we were already mentally and emotionally exhausted.
That's fascinating. It sounds like the dragon was playing mind games with you before the combat even started.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So what makes black dragons so effective at this kind of psychological warfare?
I think it's really a combination of factors. They're incredibly intelligent and manipulative,
Right.
but they're also steeped in this aura of dread and paranoia.
Yeah.
They're not just mindless brutes. They're master strategists who understand how to exploit their enemies' weaknesses.
Well, we are really lucky to have some great source material for this deep dive.
Yeah.
We're looking at an article by Paul Bellow over at LitRPG Reads.
Fantastic article.
Yeah, it's all about black dragons in the Forgotten Realms, and he gets into some fascinating details about what makes them tick.
Yeah, it's a great resource. One of the things that stood out to me was how black dragons are portrayed across different D&D settings.
Right.
It really highlights their versatility as villains.
That's right. In the Forgotten Realms, they're practically synonymous with swamps and decay.
Yeah.
But in Eberron, they're like these coastal menaces terrorizing seafaring communities.
Right.
And in Greyhawk, they're more like these lurking horrors waiting to ambush unsuspecting travelers in dark forests.
Yeah, and what's fascinating is that regardless of the specific setting, black dragons are consistently portrayed as intelligent and manipulative creatures. They're not just mindless beasts driven by instinct.
Right.
They actively shape their environments and influence events from the shadows.
So it's not just about raw power with these guys.
Right.
It's about their cunning and their ability to create this atmosphere of dread and paranoia.
Exactly.
They're playing the long game and they're playing for keeps.
For keeps. Yeah. And speaking of dread and paranoia, let's dive into their personality and motivations.
Okay.
Black dragons are notoriously cruel, vindictive, and as we've already touched upon, incredibly paranoid.
Right.
They're obsessed with power and control, and they're willing to use any means necessary to achieve their goals.
Yeah, the article mentions that their cruelty isn't random or mindless.
Right.
It's calculated like they actually enjoy inflicting suffering.
Yeah.
As a way to control others, it's chilling.
Absolutely. Bellow describes them as ruthless tyrants who rule through a combination of subtle cruelty and strategic manipulation.
Wow.
It's that constant threat of violence, even when it's not overt, that keeps their subjects and enemies in a state of fear and obedience.
Okay, so we've established that they're terrifying on an individual level.
Right.
But I'm curious, how do black dragons view other creatures?
Yeah.
Are they just indiscriminate destroyers, or is there a method to their madness?
Well, black dragons see themselves as inherently superior to all other beings.
Okay.
They view everyone else as pawns to be manipulated in their grand schemes.
Wow.
So they might manipulate humanoids with promises of power or wealth, exploit the brute strength of monstrous beasts, or even form temporary alliances with fiends.
Oh, wow.
All while planning to betray them at the most opportune moment.
So it's not just about facing a single powerful enemy.
Right.
It's about understanding the web of manipulation and influence they've woven. It's like they've got their claws in everything.
Precisely, and I can't forget about their lairs.
Oh, yes. The lick.
A black dragon's lair is almost an extension of its personality.
Okay.
Treacherous, inhospitable, and designed to psychologically torment anyone who dares to enter.
It's like their domain.
Yeah, think of it like this. The dragon's lair is the ultimate home court advantage.
Oh, right. The article mentioned acidic pools, collapsing tunnels, and poisonous gas vents.
Yeah.
It sounds like an adventurer's worst nightmare.
And don't forget the illusions, the false paths, the echoing chambers that distort sounds and disorient you.
Oh my God.
It's all crafted to create an atmosphere of fear and confusion long before you even encounter the dragon itself.
Wow. So you're walking into a fight already rattled and on edge.
Exactly.
That's not exactly a recipe for success.
No.
Speaking of fighting, let's talk about combat strategies.
Sure.
How do black dragons typically approach a fight?
Well, they're masters of hit-and-run tactics.
Okay.
They'll use their knowledge of the environment to their advantage, luring enemies into traps, exploiting terrain for cover, and vanishing just when you think you have the upper hand. They'll often target isolated individuals using their breath weapon to soften up the party before going in for the kill.
So it's a classic guerrilla warfare approach.
Yes.
Wear down your enemy, demoralize them,
Yeah.
and then strike when they're at their weakest.
Exactly. And this tactic plays perfectly into their preference for psychological warfare.
Right.
They want to break you mentally and emotionally before engaging in direct combat.
It's like they're playing 4D chess while everyone else is stuck with checkers.
Right.
I'm starting to understand why you found that D&D session so unsettling.
Yeah, it's rough.
So we've talked about the physical intimidation, the environmental hazards, and the guerrilla tactics.
Right.
But what about the more subtle forms of psychological warfare?
Yeah.
How do they get into your head before the fight even starts?
Well, for starters, they have a terrifying reputation that precedes them.
Of course.
Stories of their cruelty and cunning spread like wildfire, sowing seeds of doubt and fear in the hearts of those who hear them.
Yeah.
But they're also masters of illusion, misinformation, and intimidation. They use these tools to sow discord, paranoia, and doubt among their enemies.
So not only are you facing this terrifying creature, you might also be dealing with whispers of dissent from your own allies, seeing things that aren't there, and constantly second-guessing yourself.
Right.
It's like the dragon is already inside your head, messing with your perceptions.
Exactly. Imagine your party is on a quest to stop the black dragon.
Okay.
You might start believing rumors that the dragon is invincible or that your own companions are secretly working for it.
Oh, gosh.
It's a brilliant and insidious tactic that preys on your deepest fears and insecurities.
It sounds like the dragon is playing a multi-level chess game while everyone else is playing checkers.
Yeah, they're always steps ahead.
I'm curious, how would a dungeon master actually portray a black dragon in a way that truly gets under the player's skin? What are some of the tricks of the trade?
It's all about the details. Imagine a slow, venomous voice,
Okay.
dripping with false pleasantries,
Okay.
while subtly undermining the player's every move. You could have the dragon deliver backhanded compliments, or make veiled threats, always hinting at a power far beyond their comprehension.
And that unnerving calmness?
Yes.
Like the dragon is always in control, always 10 steps ahead, just thinking about it gives me chills.
Yeah.
But let's say you're a DM who really wants to make your black dragon stand out.
Right.
How do you make them more than just another generic evil dragon?
You give them a unique backstory and motivations that tie into the campaign world.
Okay.
Instead of just wanting to hoard treasure, maybe this dragon was betrayed by a former friend or lover and is now seeking revenge.
Oh, yeah.
Or maybe they're trying to corrupt a sacred artifact to unleash a world-ending plague.
Right.
The key is to give them a personal stake in the conflict, something that makes them feel more than just a monster.
So you're saying give them depth? Give them a reason for their actions and make them feel like a real character in the world, not just a random encounter.
Exactly, and don't forget about the impact they have on the world around them. A black dragon's presence should be felt even when they're not physically present.
Right.
The land itself might start to decay, plants might wither and die, and animals might become corrupted and twisted by the dragon's foul influence.
It's like their evil is seeping into the very fabric of reality, warping everything they touch.
Yeah, exactly. You could even give their followers, their cultists and minions, unique abilities or items that reflect the dragon's power.
Oh, that's a really cool visual.
Exactly. Imagine a group of bandits armed with daggers that drip with acidic venom.
Oh.
Or a cult leader who wears an amulet that allows him to vanish into the shadows like a wraith. These details can really help to sell the idea that the dragon's influence extends far beyond their physical presence.
Okay, so we've got these incredibly powerful, manipulative, psychologically terrifying creatures.
Yes.
But how do you adapt them to different campaign settings?
Yeah.
Can a black dragon work in a high magic urban setting, for example?
Absolutely. Black dragons are surprisingly versatile villains. In a city, they might rule a vast sewer network or control a powerful criminal organization, preying on the weak and vulnerable from the shadows.
Right.
In a cosmic horror setting, they could be eldritch entities who warp reality itself, driving mortals mad with their very presence.
So it's not about shoehorning them into a specific environment.
Right.
It's about taking their core traits, the intelligence, the manipulation, the paranoia,
yes,
and finding creative ways to express them in different contexts.
Exactly, and this is where things get really interesting.
Okay, you mentioned things getting interesting. Don't leave me hanging.
Well, think about the magic items usually associated with black dragons. We often see poison-laced weapons or artifacts that enhance fear, right?
Yeah, that tracks. What if there's more to it?
What if black dragons could bestow boons upon their followers that were far more subtle, powers that granted incredible benefits but with a hidden cost?
Oh, now you got my attention. Give me an example.
Imagine a black dragon granting a warlock the ability to see glimpses of possible futures, but at the cost of their physical sight.
Oh, wow. Or maybe they give a warrior superhuman strength, but every victory causes the land around them to wither and die.
So it's like a Faustian bargain, but on a cosmic scale.
Right.
And these gifts could have massive implications for the campaign.
Absolutely.
Not just for the characters who receive them, but the world as a whole.
Precisely. The implications could be far more terrifying than any physical threat. It's the kind of storytelling that sticks with you long after the game is over.
Let's play this out. How could these magical gifts manifest in a campaign?
Let's say a black dragon wants to sow discord and chaos in a bustling port city.
Okay.
They could gift a charismatic cult leader with the power to subtly influence people's emotions, making them more susceptible to fear, anger, and paranoia.
So instead of outright mind control, it's amplifying the negativity that's already there.
Exactly.
Subtle, but so effective.
Exactly. People start distrusting each other, rumors spread like wildfire, and minor disagreements escalate into violence. The city begins to tear itself apart from the inside. And the dragon, meanwhile, is just sitting back watching the chaos unfold, knowing they're the one pulling the strings. Yeah. It's a chilling thought.
Yeah.
Now imagine the players are tasked with investigating this unrest.
Right.
They might not even realize a dragon is involved at first.
Yeah.
They're dealing with the consequences of the dragon's influence, not the dragon itself.
That's right. And that's what makes black dragons such compelling villains.
It adds a whole new layer of complexity and intrigue.
Yeah.
It's not just about slaying a monster.
It's about unraveling this web of manipulation and understanding the true nature of the threat.
They force you to think differently, to look beyond the obvious, and to question everything.
Yeah, exactly. And it can really mess with players.
It's blowing my mind a little bit.
Yeah.
They're masters of playing the long game, manipulating people and events to achieve their goals. It's like they're always 5 steps ahead.
They're not just reacting to events, they're shaping them. They understand that true power lies in influencing the hearts and minds of others.
And that kind of manipulation can have a lasting impact, even if the dragon is eventually defeated.
Exactly. Even in defeat, a black dragon's influence can linger.
Wow.
Their curses, their schemes, the very atmosphere of dread they cultivated can all leave a lasting scar on the world and the people who inhabit it.
So even if you manage to slay the dragon, you might be dealing with the fallout of their actions for generations to come. That's a sobering thought.
It is.
It makes you think about the true cost of victory.
It does, but it also highlights the importance of understanding these creatures.
Okay.
The more you know about their tactics, their motivations, their strengths and weaknesses, the better equipped you'll be to face them both on the battlefield and in the subtle games of manipulation they love to play.
Knowledge is power, especially when dealing with a creature as cunning as a black dragon.
Absolutely. And speaking of knowledge, Paul Bellows' article goes into some fascinating detail about how to roleplay a black dragon. Effectively, he emphasizes using a slow, venomous voice, delivering backhanded compliments, and just generally exuding this aura of unnerving calmness.
It's all about creating that sense of unease, that feeling that something is deeply wrong.
Right.
Even if you can't quite put your finger on it.
He also suggests subtly highlighting the player's weaknesses.
Okay.
Reminding them of past failures or exploiting their insecurities.
Oh my gosh.
It's a great way to get under their skin and really make them feel the pressure.
So you're not just fighting a monster, you're fighting your own doubts and fears. It sounds like the perfect recipe for a truly memorable and terrifying encounter.
Absolutely, but it's not just about making the dragons scary, it's about making them a truly compelling villain. A black dragon shouldn't be a one-dimensional bad guy who just wants to destroy everything.
Right.
They should have depth, they should have motivations, they should have a personality that makes them feel real and believable.
So instead of just being evil for evil's sake, they're evil with a purpose. They have goals, they have ambitions, and they're willing to do whatever it takes to achieve them.
Exactly, and those goals might not always be obvious.
Okay.
Maybe this particular black dragon isn't interested in ruling the world. Maybe they're obsessed with uncovering some ancient secret or enacting a complex revenge plot.
That opens up so many possibilities for storytelling.
Yeah.
You could have a whole campaign revolve around unraveling the dragon's machinations and trying to stay one step ahead of them.
And that's where their intelligence and cunning really come into play. They're not just going to charge into battle blindly.
Right.
They're going to plan, they're going to scheme, they're going to use their knowledge of the world and their influence over others to manipulate events in their favor.
So it's not just a physical fight, it's a battle of wits.
Exactly.
The players have to be smart, resourceful, and willing to think outside the box if they want to stand a chance.
And that's what makes Black Dragons such a challenge and such a rewarding experience when you finally manage to outwit them.
It's like solving a complex puzzle, but the stakes are incredibly high.
Right.
And if you fail, the consequences could be devastating.
Exactly, and that brings us back to the idea of their legacy.
Okay.
Even if you defeat a Black Dragon, their influence can linger for years, even centuries. The land they corrupted might never fully recover.
Right.
The people they manipulated might never fully trust again.
Yeah.
The scars they left behind could become a haunting reminder of the darkness that once threatened to consume the world.
It's a victory, but it's a bittersweet one.
Yeah.
You saved the world, but at what cost? It makes you wonder if some battles leave wounds that never truly heal.
It's a question that every hero has to grapple with, and it's one of the things that makes Black Dragons such a fascinating and enduring part of D&D lore. They force us to confront the true cost of victory and remind us that even in a world of magic and monsters, the greatest battles are often fought in the shadows of the mind.
Well said. It sounds like Black Dragons offer a depth and complexity that goes beyond just being a monster to fight.
They do. They're a reflection of our own fears and anxieties, our own capacity for cruelty and manipulation, and that's what makes them so compelling.
Well, I think that's a perfect note to start wrapping up our deep dive into Black Dragons.
Yeah, it's been a fascinating journey, exploring their lore and their twisted psychology and the unique challenges they pose to adventurers and dungeon masters alike.
Absolutely. A huge shout out to LitRPG Reads and Paul Bello for that insightful article. It really helped us unpack this complex topic.
Definitely, if you're looking to learn more about Black Dragons or just want to dive deeper into the world of D&D lore, be sure to check out their work.
Yeah, we'll include a link to the article in the show notes. Now, we want to hear from you. Have you encountered a Black Dragon in your own D&D campaigns? What tactics did they use? How did your party fare against them?
Share your stories and experiences in the comments below. We'd love to hear what you've learned from facing these iconic villains.
And for all you dungeon masters out there, here's a final thought-provoking question. If you were to design a campaign around a Black Dragon, what unique backstory or motivations would you give them to make them truly memorable?
What would make your Black Dragons stand out from the crowd and leave a lasting impact on your players?
Until next time, happy gaming.